Today, we will discuss some of these important approaches and how they promote participation, empowerment, and sustainability. How do communities identify their needs, solve problems, and create positive change? The answer lies in various theories, methods, and practices that guide community development efforts. In this video, we will explore some of the most important approaches used by community development practitioners around the world. Let's begin with an approach that focuses not on problems, but on possibilities. Asset-based community development, or ABCD, focuses on the strengths and resources that already exist within a community. Rather than asking, "What problems do we have?" this approach asks, "What strengths can we build upon?" Community members identify their skills, talents, organizations, and local resources, then work together to use these assets for development. For example, residents skilled in farming, sewing, and carpentry can collaborate to create livelihood opportunities for the community. While community assets are important, development becomes even more effective when people actively participate in shaping their future. Participatory development theory emphasizes the active involvement of community members in decision-making. Instead of development being imposed from outside, people become partners in identifying needs, planning projects, and evaluating results. Example: for instance, before constructing a public facility, local officials may consult residents to determine what services are most needed. As people become involved in development activities, they also gain confidence, skills, and control over decisions that affect their lives. Empowerment theory focuses on helping individuals and groups develop the knowledge, skills, and confidence needed to influence their own future. Empowered communities are better equipped to address challenges and create sustainable solutions. Example: a women's livelihood program that teaches entrepreneurship and financial management is an example of empowerment in action. However, empowerment does not happen in isolation. Strong relationships and networks also play a vital role in community development. Social capital theory highlights the importance of trust, relationships, and cooperation among community members. When people trust one another and work together toward common goals, communities become more resilient and capable of addressing challenges. Example: a neighborhood volunteer group that organizes cleanup drives and disaster response activities demonstrate social capital. Building relationships is important, but development must also ensure that progress can be sustained for future generations. Sustainable development theory promotes meeting present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It encourages balancing economic growth, social well-being, and environmental protection. A community recycling project that reduces waste while generating income is an example of sustainable development. To turn these ideas into action, communities often rely on organized efforts that bring people together. around shared concerns. Community organizing is the process of bringing people together to identify common concerns, develop leadership, and take collective action. It transforms individual concerns into community-wide solutions. Example: residents working together to advocate for improved water supply services are practicing community organizing. Before communities can effectively address their concerns, they must first understand their situation and resources. Participatory Rural Appraisal, or PRA, allows community members to analyze their own conditions, identify challenges, and propose solutions. This method values local knowledge and encourages people to become active contributors to development planning. Example: farmers creating resource maps to identify irrigation needs is a practical application of PRA. Once communities understand their situation, the next step is determining what needs require the most immediate attention. Needs assessment is a systematic process used to identify gaps between current conditions and desired outcomes. It helps communities prioritize issues and allocate resources effectively. Example: a survey revealing limited access to healthcare services may lead to the development of a new community health center. Identifying needs is only one part of the process. Successful development also requires the involvement of key individuals and organizations. Stakeholder engagement involves working with individuals, groups, and organizations that influence or are affected by a project. Meaningful engagement promotes collaboration, transparency, and shared ownership of development initiatives. Example: a disaster preparedness program developed through collaboration among residents, local government units, schools, and non-government organizations demonstrates stakeholder engagement. Finally, communities need the skills and knowledge necessary to sustain development efforts over time. Capacity building focuses on strengthening the abilities of individuals, organizations, and communities to achieve their goals effectively. It equips people with the tools they need to manage projects, solve problems, and lead initiatives. Example: training community volunteers in disaster risk reduction and emergency response is an example of capacity building. Now that we've explored these theories, methods, and practices, let's see how they work together to create meaningful community change. Community development is most successful when communities recognize their strengths, actively participate in decision-making, build leadership, strengthen relationships, assess their needs, engage stakeholders, and continuously develop their capacities. These theories, methods, and practices provide valuable guidance for creating sustainable and inclusive development. Remember, effective community development is not simply about providing solutions. It is about empowering people to become active partners in improving their own communities. Thank you for watching. Follow my channel for more lessons on community development, leadership, and social change.